In a normal time zone, I am. Eddie, what is happening, brother?
Look at the energy. I love it.
In a normal time zone, I am. It is not 3 a.m. It is 8:02 p.m. And that makes me far more energetic and ready for tonight's show.
Beautiful. Who needs caffeine? All right, man. This is fantastic. So
I've had a lot of caffeine. I've had a lot of caffeine.
Better, well, you know, it's caffeine, stimulant, you know, where's the beer? A little depressant. So you wait another hour, maybe when we're on Clubhouse.
I've got some scotch behind me. I'll pour that maybe once we do that. I've got a really cool bottle, FYI, from Israel on the way back. I got a Langevin, the Ron Swanson scotch.
The Ron Swanson scotch, yes, like a real man. Right.
So Nathan says, did I miss anything? And I'm like, not really, buddy.
Good evening, Matt. Yeah, hello, everybody. And of course, as usual, all things mentioned on this show by us or comments by our audience are our own and do not represent any company that we are working for or affiliated with. Hello, everybody. What else have we got? Good evening, David. I'm missing you, Nathan. That's right. All right, fantastic. It's going to be a great show.
Matt here. We've got only you, Nathan. David's with us tonight. Good. Hello, David. This is Nathan laughing out loud. Bulletproof it is from Nathan. Good evening from the one and only James McQuiggan. Literally you and me both. And what year is the Lagavulin? How do you say it? Lagavulin?
I said Lagavulin.
Lagavulin, right? It's like I've been, you know, it's a 10-year-old Lagavulin. It's a 10-year-old Lagavulin.
All right, beautiful. On the Bulletproof, I got the Bulletproof Butter the other day and was told to put a little bit of this butter in my coffee. And I thought, really, butter and coffee, because I'm trying to do a little bit less dairy. Really good. So I ordered my Bulletproof from Amazon here just a few days ago, along with this Bulletproof Butter, to put a 1/4 teaspoon of butter in the Bulletproof coffee instead of cream. Much nicer. All right.
I don't know. I used to put the oil, like the Bulletproof oil. I still have a bottle in front of me over there.
Really, like an olive oil or
not like an olive oil. I don't know what it was. I forgot what it is. It's like the brain fuel oil, whatever it was. When I was on keto, I used to put it to depress my appetite.
Right.
In the morning.
So this is what this butter's all about, this kind of New Zealand super butter. I don't know. I'm buying it. It said Bulletproof. I love it. I love their story. I just buy in.
Hello from Corinne.
Hello, Corinne.
What's up, Andrew? How you doing? MCT oil. That's right. MCT oil is what Nathan said it. Kevin Peterson says, hey, Corinne Salzberg. Kevin, what is happening, brother? How are you? What an awesome crowd and evening we have tonight, because we've got a really good show today. So I'll introduce the topic. Anzar says hello from Dallas, Texas.
I'll be in Austin next week. I'll be your neighbor, buddy.
I love Texas, man.
Me too.
Like, there's an energy when you land in Texas that no other part of the country has. It's like Texas is like, we're big enough to be our own country, but we're not. We're doing you a favor to be part of this country.
You kind of get that feeling, absolutely, yeah. And I love this statistic, and people usually frown on Texas for this. I actually kind of think it's fun. Texas has more tigers in private collections than there are in all of the wild of the rest of the world. So there are more tigers in Texas. And it's kind of interesting because in a certain sense, because tigers unfortunately are being poached in many areas of the wild, they're not being poached in neighbors' backyard, are they? So you could make an argument for the fact that they're keeping these cats fairly safe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll leave that one in case the PETA get hold of this video.
So a few housekeeping things, a few housekeeping rules, guys. So here's the deal. We want to bring you all on camera. Eddie and I have been going through the idea, and we did it a few weeks ago. It went pretty well, but we're like, we want to keep this an open discussion. So here's what we're doing. Sure, we're going to bring up your comments like we always do until 9 p.m. At 9 p.m., we're moving to Clubhouse. The link for all of those on LinkedIn is right there. There's the room for the link on Clubhouse. Click it. If you're not on Clubhouse, message me or Eddie Doyle. We'll send you invites so you can join us on Clubhouse. In Clubhouse, we'll bring you on stage. We'll continue the discussion. It'll be a post show. We can talk about anything we want to. and you guys can talk about your bombs or your whiskey or whatever else you guys want to talk about in a less professional setting.
I've got 7 invites. I'd be very happy to share them with you. So just DM me on LinkedIn with your number or however it works. I don't know, and I'll get it to you. I think I might need an email address.
No, just the phone number, and we've got it. Hey to Solomon coming in. So here we go, guys. Here's what we're talking about today. Russia, China, India are part of BRICS. BRICS is kind of the G7 competitor, right? So there's the G7 with the old, I call it like the 7 families of the old Italian mafia, right? The old, it's the US, Canada, UK, Germany, France, Japan, and one more. I forgot who the 7.
I'll Google it as you're talking, buddy. All good.
So BRICS makes up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Now, 3 nations out of the BRICS, China, Russia, and India, are all working on building their own OS.
And you missed Italy on the G7. That was the only other one.
Italy? Right. Yeah, Italy's still in the G7.
Apparently. They're a carry. They're a carry. Sorry, my Italian friends.
Sorry, my Italian friends. But yeah, they are a carry. So Russia, China, and India are all trying to build their own OSs. This conversation's been going on since 2015. So in 2015, Russia, China said, we're going to build our own OS. We're going to do all of that. And apparently there was some sort of deal done that delayed it. Then come 2019. What happened in 2019? President Trump at the time started banning Huawei and all these different Chinese and Russian companies. And Google banned Huawei. Google banned Android from Huawei phones. That was the other part of it. So now they've essentially put this on super speed, and they're trying to develop their own OS. So our discussion tonight is, what does it mean if Russia, China, and India all develop their own OSs? What does that mean for the tech world? What does that mean for globalization? Are we looking at a point where the world's gotten so global that now we're going local again? And if so, how does that impact global businesses? If in order to do business in China, you've got to run on the China OS, and in Russia, they've got a system that they've already started working on, and it's developed by a mobile platform company that started developing the Russian version of it, and it's called the Open Mobile Platform in Russia. So very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's open this up to your comments. What do you guys think? And Eddie, I'm going to kick this off to you, man. I'd love to get your 2 cents on this because you and I were debating this when we were talking and getting ready on the show.
Yeah, we were getting ready on Monday, so we decided to send out a quick poll over LinkedIn. So I sent out this following poll. So I said, look, and I'm going to read you the results of the poll right now. The poll is China, Russia, and India are developing their own OS to replace Microsoft and iOS, potentially forcing companies to adopt the new tech. Do you think one of the 4 following? Cast your votes. 1, they will fail because it's too complex to do it. But I already see Matt's comment on the fact that SaaS has become a thing since those original OSs were created. Good point. So do you think they'll fail because it's too complex? Or it's just a government security play, right? So we want to secure our own stuff. Or do you think, yes, we need more competition, right? So yeah, let's stick it to the current OSs. Or do you think it's about industrial espionage because of the obvious 2 of the 3 actors that we've just mentioned here? Okay, here are the results. 25% of people voted they will fail, it's too complex. So that was the 2nd largest vote. The 3rd largest vote, so that's 2nd largest, the 3rd largest vote was it's about industrial espionage. So that's what the 3rd amount of people group said, industrial espionage. 4th place was, yes, we need more competition. So that leaves number 1, it's a government security play. So that's what the public from my poll is currently saying. They think government security play for the most part, followed by a fairly close second on they'll fail, it's too complex. And about industrial
I don't think it's really complex because guess what? China still has a bunch of IP. So how hard would it be for them to steal Microsoft? I mean, they've already seen Microsoft source code. We know that from Solari and SolarWinds.
Is it still going to be kind of like, I would still think that it's kind of like this. if you're stealing source code, are you not stealing all the bricks and mortar and the tools, but you've still got to assemble the building? That's still going to be a difficult task.
You're a nation state. You're China. You can put 1 million people to work on this.
You can.
You've got slave labor.
And yet they haven't been able to do it. Now, I'm not saying that they can't. I'm not saying they don't have an advantage with the fact that they have stolen information. It's just bizarre to me that, as you say, with 1 billion people and a lot of smart people over there, why haven't they yet been able to innovate anything?
So I want to get to some comments on this, and we're going to let this conversation evolve. Before we do that, though, Nora says, hello, James and Eddie.
Hello, Nora.
Nora, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Nathan says, I say stick to bricks. He also thinks that they will fail. But here's a good comment from David. So David says, further communist control. Remember how Russia's already considered disconnecting itself from the internet to further control their country. They did that. They successfully disconnected from the internet.
Yeah, I mean, but what country's going to get away with? I mean, you can do it, but what do you really achieve from doing that? You essentially cut yourself off from the rest of the world. Look at what happened in the pandemic to any corporation that wasn't heavily reliant on the internet and had figured out all of that stuff. They failed. So cutting yourself off from the rest of the world, I don't think that's a thing. This is what North Korea has done from the beginning, right, of those despots ruling that country. And when you do that, you don't get the advantage of global trade. You don't get the advantage of negotiating and engaging with people. I don't see them cutting themselves off, but I do see them forcing others to use their OS and their OS having backdoors. That's my take on this whole thing. I don't see why they. Yeah.
So I want to get to Dave's comment here because I want to push him to actually give me an answer by what he means. That's not how their long game works, James. So I'd love to see how you do that. I want to get to Matt's comment here. I feel that the anchors of Windows 32 applications being removed makes this much more possible. That said, its motive may certainly be rooted in espionage or the expulsion of our capabilities at the OS level.
Yeah, because that begs the question, why would they do this? What's the legitimate reason for them to do this? I mean, they want to compete in the business world. India, maybe, right? India, sure. IIT, smart, right? They want to innovate. They're not. I don't see them innovating much. Tata's an interesting car company. That's okay for innovation. It's okay. It's not brilliant. It's nothing like Tesla, right? So then the only other reason I can come up with China and Russia to come up with an OS is for espionage, is for control. And the fact that they probably don't control Microsoft and iOS that irritates them.
So here's a cool comment from David Vaughn. Belgian Road Initiative. So that's really interesting. I actually thought about that, Dave. That was something as I was getting ready for tonight's show. I was like, what if China's game with OS isn't just defending its nation state, but it's rather getting all the other countries to use its OS as part of the Belt and Road Initiative. Matt says, but they are great at assembling the building, huge number of humans. Yes, that is very true. They will make a mix of Windows and OS and call it a portholes.
That's awesome. Who said that? That's great.
Nathan with the joke there for the win. Nora says, you're welcome, James, anytime. The proxies, they proxy the exfils to the internet they want regarding China. By the way, all countries have the ability, including the U.S. That's according to David when it comes to that. And Kevin Peterson says, that's cool. I block all the .cn, .ru, DNS, and IP ranges from my home router. Let's get to Nathan here says it's leverage and they want to earn respect. But David says they make advancing the state a matter of national pride. That is also very true for China. OS is kind of like having their own car.
Yeah, I think that's a big motivation, actually, not just the espionage. I mean, it's it must be irritating to say something along the lines of communism is amazing and we can give everybody everything and yet we don't innovate. So why are we using Windows? Why are we using iOS if communism's so amazing? So I think state pride is probably a very large motivation for them. Who's our LinkedIn user here?
This is David.
David.
Watch the new Silk Road on Amazon Prime and get back to me. So That is very interesting. I have added that now to my watch list. I'll definitely check that out. Paul says, none yet for me. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Paul. But Matt says here, how much do you need to innovate at the vanilla worthless in 10 years? Endpoint OS, when you just want bare metal spy capabilities and deliver web applications.
Yeah, if that's all they're going for. Yeah.
Well, if we look at this from a different perspective, right? If you look at, for example, this week we had the G7 a few hours ago. President Biden and President Putin met, and they had a discussion around this kind of stuff, and tried to make it look civil. Although I don't know how civil that discussion was. Really, I mean, those two meet for formalities. A lot of the stuff is done pre their meeting, but something that's really interesting to me from this perspective of their own OS is really kind of when you look at like the Belt and Road Initiative, kind of like the new Silk Road that China's working on, essentially creating a route from China all the way to the Mediterranean to really control global trade, not only by ocean, but also by road. There's the other aspect, which is, the sense of not necessarily national security, but the sense of when you get other nations to buy into what you're trying to do, right? You get Pakistan on a different OS, you get all of those. You really create a conglomerate of technology from a China perspective that you have full control of. And the other part of it is how many of those, China and Russia, how many of them really trust Microsoft or Apple or Google? How many of them don't think that they're in bed with the CIA at some point or another?
Well, and it might just simply be a cash grab too. I mean, this would be big motivation. I could put this for India, right, as far as cash grab being their main motivation. Because look, if you develop the operating system and you say, look, there's 1 billion people in India, there's 1 billion people in China, we've got our own operating system, and if you want to come play in this market, you're going to have to develop apps for this operating system. And when you do that, we're going to get a ka-ching, right? Because we're going to charge you, kind of like the App Store, the iOS App Store model, right? And the way the Windows Store model has gone. So that actually just might be the case. It might be as simple as we want money. And if we develop an operating system for all of the computers and the 1 billion people, and if we mandate it for the 1 billion residents of India, well, then the West is going to build all of these apps and we're going to get a little cha-ching on every single one. Overnight, super rich.
So Nathan says, consider the brain drain they're suffering because people learn on our platforms then get jobs in the US and Europe. That is something to be pointed out, by the way. It's said that almost 40 or 45% of engineers in big tech are all from Eastern Europe, meaning the Russian CIS bloc. So, Nathan might have something. Nathan might be onto something there.
Yeah, great idea.
Bare metal runs on commodity hardware in most places. Where do you buy commodity hardware? The lowest bidder. Who's susceptible to being popped? The easiest, the lower bidder. So that's also very interesting. There, Matt Lee agrees with David Vaughn and says, were you and I separated at birth? Having known both of you, no. You were not separated at birth, but you guys are kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito in the Twins movie.
Well, I was gonna say one. This is too mean, but one of you is the ugly twin, and I was just leaving it at that.
More or less means spreading the pain, maybe. And then David Vaughn says, I've spent the last 15 years studying these two adversaries, and we're grateful, David, that you're here. And I actually take a lot of the stuff that you say very, very seriously, and give it significant weight. When you look at when you look at the Belt and Road Initiative, though, of China, right? The Belt and Road Initiative actually does not fit the Russian plan. I mean, Russia and China may seem like they get along, but they don't. They don't really get along. Right now, the friend of my friend is, the friend of my friend is, the friend of my enemy's friend. That's my friend. So,
right.
They're friends. But really, Xi and Putin don't see eye to eye on a lot of the stuff. And in fact, Russia sees China as being a national security threat to Russia. And I think David is saying it does not, meaning what I just said. They backed that up. Don't say it does not. I love how he writes 3 words. No, but no reason. We'll have to debate. But Matt Lee says, yeah, but Russia was also thinking Germany was on their side until someone opened another front. Russia's motivation is capitalistic. So is China. I mean, China is not this rich country. China's just printing money. China's in a lot of debt. China's economy, if it was opened up completely outside of communism, would collapse the moment it opened up. They would have huge inflation. The thing about China is they've essentially pegged the value of their currency, which is currency manipulation, something that President Obama spoke about significantly during his tenure as president. One of the things he wanted China to do was get rid of the pegging of the yuan against the dollar, which is typically always pegged around 6.6, 6.7, 6.8. And so, I mean, if China just doesn't peg their currency anymore, it would collapse like Venezuela.
Russians motivation capitalistic, but Matt, these comments here, interesting. They are still, it's almost disappeared on me. Yeah, good. They are still the heart of a peasant, and I would wonder the trust they place in China. You're talking about the people of China there, Matt, I think, right? In that comment? Yeah. And you're a little faster than me on that, but I'll read it. Russia is stuck between 2 giants. They are more afraid of China because of the land dispute that can flare up. Yeah. And I think here's a good question. Who's more technologically advanced now? Certainly in the space race, it would have been Russia over China, but I would say today, China over Russia, right? James and Edwin, love you guys, but need to have a China one-on-one. Let's get into this.
That's what we're going to do on ClubHouse. That's what we're going to do.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, ClubHouse is going to be fire, Matt. Exactly. Right.
Nathan says Russian motivation is vodka. Old news, Nathan. Old news, man. The Russians have upgraded their drinking capabilities. Russia just wants to be relevant. I disagree. Russia has 180 million people. They immense the largest land mass. They're not looking to be relevant. They're looking to be a global player. Russia is one of the only countries on the planet that's never been occupied. I mean, they've never had a foreign occupier in Russia. Russia doesn't celebrate an Independence Day. That was something very fascinating for me when I was in Russia. I was like, when's your, we have the 4th of July. When do you guys celebrate it? They're like, we've never been occupied. Everyone who's ever occupied us, Napoleon tried to come to Russia, that was his downfall. Hitler tried to go against Russia, that was his downfall. Anyone who's ever tried to occupy Russia has essentially failed after they've occupied the rest of the sissy world, like the French, easy, right? The Italians, pretty simple. The Greeks, easy.
To be fair, Russia's got bad weather on its side. That tends to hurt.
Not all of Russia, St. Petersburg. Right?
Not all of Russia.
Western Russia is very, Western Russia is very, 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 very good. So, says you are definitely misinformed. I'm glad that you say that. I'm happy to be informed. They must
break you. You got to say that in a Russian accent. They must break you. All right.
Paul's motivation is vodka. Matt says this clubhouse room is going to be fire. And incorrect by David Vaughn. So Nora says, I agree, James. China and Russia will get on each other's tail in the long term. You watch. Yeah, the serpent is going to turn its head at some point or another towards its own local threat when they can't.
It's its own tail always, right? Yeah.
China is more advanced. That's Nathan said that. Agreed. China has taken the lead from Russia. That's by David.
I think so.
Here's David Pond. Most of China is poor, but the reason is that they have exported their people to third world countries that defaulted on loans that were impossible to pay. Yeah, that's what we talked about this, I think, a few shows ago with the predatory loans that China gives to African nations. And, I've spoken to friends I have in Africa that have said in the middle of nowhere where there's just villages and nothing, there's no running electricity. All of a sudden, China comes in and builds an airport.
And that's right, either an airport or where there's a deep sea port, right? So this is the Silk Road and military advantage that they're looking for. That's what I mean. They want to be a big player on the world stage, referring to Russia, I think, in that case. By Genghis Khan for 1,000 years. For Russia? Genghis Khan, where is that? That's an interesting one. Nathan, thank you. So is that in reference to Russia? I think you mean China, right? Genghis Khan definitely occupied China, but maybe Russia too? That would be interesting to have a look at. I'll fact check us in a moment. Russia has a landmass on their side, cold landmass. The Russian man will die before he is defeated. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us will. A lot of us will die for our land. You're right. Yeah. Stolen technologies and innovations make it easier for Russia and China to make progress that would have taken them longer to develop had they not acquired them. I mean, I agree with you, David. I think China is by far the biggest perpetrator on that side. I see the Russians as more stirring the pot. Like when we had Jack Barsky on, it was that was more the dialogue. I wouldn't put it past them, but they've also got some like Kaspersky's great technology, right? So they've innovated a little bit. They innovated in the space race a lot. So we got to kind of hand it to them there, but that ended up breaking them financially. And then Reagan came along and finally broke them with just gearing up on the weapons. So yeah, they ran out of money and the innovation slowed down too, but they are very good with technology. David Moelim, F-35, anyone? What's that got to do with F-35? Maybe
so
I should know that.
F-35 is, the F-35 is how China started their own jet called the J-10, which was almost an exact replica of the F-35.
Yeah. Another J-20, exactly, yeah. Yeah.
The actual war between Israel and China. We'll see.
I'm not seeing that one coming. Why is that? That's very interesting, Nathan.
I saw Chinese influence in Israel for the first time ever when I was there 3 weeks ago, like last week. So I'm in my hotel and I'm scrolling through like the TV channels, and typically all the movie channels are all like US or British, European movies. All of a sudden they've got like Chinese shows on there and Chinese movies.
But why? Nathan, I'd love you to expand on that. Why the fight between Israel and China? I'm not seeing. That's a first. So interesting, man. Bring that one up in ClubHouse or right here, right now. Yeah.
China comes in and brings all their own people. They're not real partners, so locals distrust them. Yeah, and eventually that's going to happen. It's going to be like Independence Day, right? Where the whole world rises against the aliens. Only the aliens are Chinese.
Well, I'm even saying over Africa. Why would China and Israel fight over Africa?
I'm not sure. We'll get to that in just a moment. I want to get to all these comments. Let me see here. This is David Vaughn. No effing way. Russia is a more advanced state. If you take RBN as an example, if they want into your network, they're already in. That is also very true. Nathan says Russia was occupied by
really.
That's interesting.
China. Yeah, Genghis Khan had the largest occupation of anyone in history. Wow, that's amazing. All right,
so, go ahead.
Russia is precise and surgical. Yeah, I think so. I think so too, man. So thank you, Matt. I think Jack did some work to downplay Russia's capabilities at a human who are they level on purpose. Really.
Because every time anyone speaks against Russia, they end up poisoned in some hospital room in Jackson's mode.
Right. That's right. He wants to stay alive a little longer. Russians are a mix of Vikings and Mongol Tatars. It's like the Brits, eh? We're a bunch of Saxons. Plans were stolen for Lucky. It's the J-20 now, exactly. I mean, it's a spitting image plane. It's such a tragedy, that one. Yeah.
Plans were stolen from Lockheed.
Fight over Africa, yeah.
Plans were stolen from Lockheed and thousands of small part manufacturers that are Swiss cheese would CUI. Africa is Israel's playground. It is very true. Israel has been strategically involved in Africa since its inception. People forget, I think it was 7 or 8 years ago, where Israeli warplanes actually attacked an Iranian weapons cache in Sudan and blew it up. Like, they blew up part of the highway in Sudan as these trucks full of weapons intended for Hamas from Iran landed in Sudan and were supposed to go through Sudan into Gaza.
I did not know that. Okay, very interesting. Thank you, Nathan.
So David says China's the master of the long game Belt and Road Initiatives, which is slated to be completed by 2043.
Yeah, they do. They are the long-term thinkers of the globe.
But everything I'm saying, and David, I might be right or wrong here, but everything I've seen is that China is now trying to push through this initiative over the next several years. They're being far more aggressive. They're seeing an opportunity. So I don't know if you concur with that. but that is that. David says, OMG, Africa, Edwin's Clubhouse is going to be lit. You guys have to be cussing at my phone in an empty house. I'm glad you're in an empty house. If your kids were there, David, I drive 5.5 hours to Raleigh to smack you over the head. There are tons of gold in the land of most African countries, and this is why they're fighting over Africa. It's not only gold, it's minerals,
cobalt, yeah, you know, all that stuff right now.
Security. They're able to take farming and turn Africa into a place where you can farm Africa to feed the 1.5 billion people in China. China's now moved from a 1-child to a 3-child policy, right?
Yeah. So take 1 billion times 3 in 50 years. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to need a lot of food. Yeah.
Dave says Africa's everyone's playground. Matt Lee says China's quickly invested in a great majority of controlling positions of companies in Africa. That is also very, very true. Go ahead.
Yeah, literally every country of power has a princess in Africa. They do. It's a very interesting history considering that's our heritage. It's very strange. Yeah, keep going here. So we've got very, very aggressive. They have bought most of the world's ports and are leasing them back to the native governments. Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? You know, so it's like with the cobalt, it's like with the minerals. It's like who just mentioned about Africa having gold here. I'm just going to scroll up. Nora, thank you. I mean, these governments are signing the people's, I don't want to say the people's property away, but, you know, I mean, you've got these very shady deals. You've got predatory loans. You've got the government people who are signing them, who are getting very, very rich for them and their own family and their friends. I don't see how that one's going to stop. Guys, China literally owns almost all sources of income in Africa. Yeah, they're definitely getting there, aren't they?
Yeah, Paul says they have some lingering problems over their 1-child policy. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Too many men of marrying age right now, right? So that's one of the problems that they either didn't foresee or didn't care about.
Matt Lee with the joke of the night, folks. Give it to him. In a British accent, please.
CEO Digital Transformation Sherpa, half as many as if they had had a 2-child policy. Bada ching. tip your waiters and waitresses. That's awesome, man.
Matt Lee for the win. China recognizes they can't support their aging population. Their 1-child policy has come back to bite them. Yes, but now they've moved it to 3, which is going to turn back and bite them right back in the tail end because they're not going to have any way to feed those 3.
Yeah, well, this is how you're going to get me started, right? As the libertarian, this is as soon as government starts sticking its finger in the pot of society to try and fix a problem. So in this case, so estimates are around 60 million people died under Mao Zedong's communism and his big dream there, 60 million, maybe that's the case. Certainly tens of millions, I think. And so, okay, how are we going to fix this? Well, let's just stop having babies. Really? Prohibition on booze didn't work. You're going to do a prohibition on having a family? These things just don't work, ladies and gentlemen. So now they've got another problem that they're going to be dealing with. These are Western perceived issues that are wildly short-sighted. Really? That's interesting. Is that, let me just go through here. Who said that? It's not updating on my phone. David. All right, David. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that, David, because I think what you're saying is you disagree there. That'd be excellent. David, I hope you are coming to Clubhouse. I'm excited to hear your point on this.
So
Me
here's
too.
what I want to do. This room is so lively. I want to try and open the Clubhouse room right now and get us all to go to Clubhouse. Because the momentum.
Let's do it. Why not?
Let me do something here. I've started the room in Clubhouse right now. I'm in the room in Clubhouse. I'll go in. I'm going to end the show once I get people in the room in Clubhouse.
Okay, that's me. Hold on. Let me just turn that down. Beautiful. All right. There we go. I'm in 2. My volume's down. I'm in 2. Matt, you've joined. Awesome. Okay, so we'll hang out here for a few more minutes. Let's tidy up some of these comments. Who does not have a Clubhouse invite? I will give you a Clubhouse invite. I've got 7. So just DM me on LinkedIn. Put it in the comments right now. And then what I'll do is I'll just go to my LinkedIn right now and I'll just refresh my messages, my friends. And so just find me, Edwin Eddie Doyle Manhattan on LinkedIn. That's all you got to do. I'm the only one that pops up, Edwin Eddie Doyle Manhattan on LinkedIn. And if you need an invite, come on into the room. I can see people coming in there. Let me just mute myself so there's no echo at all. Awesome. Okay, beautiful. And I'll keep refreshing my invites as we wrap up.
So here's what we're doing. Hang on, David. I'm going to end the show. David Vaughn's in the room. Matt Lee's in the room. Kevin's in. If you're not on Clubhouse, go to Clubhouse. Look at. David, we hear you perfect, buddy. So here's the deal. If you're not on Clubhouse, go to Clubhouse right now. Look up the TechTownSquare post-show discussion. We're going to move this discussion there because with all the comments here, we're getting wild. It's getting crazy. And
love it.
Take it to Clubhouse where people can come on and have a discussion. And
right,
so
let's wrap up our comments though, right? So where are we? So you bet you tell I'll be there. Yeah, you're already there, Matt. Fantastic, man. Your tag
all right,
team.
guys. So we're on Clubhouse. We're gonna end the show here. Move it to Clubhouse. Join us on Clubhouse. Go look up the TechTownSquare on Clubhouse. Come be part of the conversation there. We're going to open it up so everyone's on stage. We're having this conversation.
All right, beautiful. Then we're going to do that. Does anybody want to comment if they need an invite to Clubhouse, or is everybody on? It looks like everybody's coming in. We're all on Clubhouse.
Yeah, everyone's coming in. We're moving to Clubhouse, folks. Here's the outro music, and here we go.
Beautiful.